Welcome to the Rumbizai Show. Thank you very much for watching and thank you for tuning in. Please share this video, please like it, and please subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Today I have a very special guest with me. I have a brand new 2020 graduate who is going to be talking about his university experiences as we prepare to go into a new year of university this September. Today I have a brand new graduate of 2020, Tino Kudatonderai Vunzawabaya. Thank you so much, Tino, for joining and welcome.
Thank you. I only had to walk downstairs, so it wasn't too much of a trip.
It wasn't too much of a trip, was it? Thank you for talking to me. Today, Tino is going to be talking to us about his university experience as we prepare for young people going to university and for parents whose children are leaving them. When Tino went to university 3 years ago, I struggled. I actually went into a depression. And so I just want him to share some of his experiences, some of the tips that he can give to young people, and some reassurance as well for parents who are watching. So thanks so much, Tino. And again, congratulations for passing.
Thank you. I got a 2-1, so I'm pretty ecstatic. So I'm pretty happy.
Ecstatic. You're ecstatic,
yeah.
I'm ecstatic too.
I'm pretty happy. Yeah, I'm pretty happy about it. It was a lot of hard work over the last 3 years. So
well done.
It was good to finish with a good grade.
Yeah, that's great. Well done. And what did you study at university for those who don't know?
Well, I did criminology and psychology. So I kind of liked both subjects in terms of dealing with people and kind of understanding people, but also in terms of criminology, having the crime of it all as well and understanding more about society.
That's brilliant. And did you have anyone who influenced you to choose psychology?
Well, my A-level teacher, Miss Day, Heart of England School, you're doing great. She helped me a lot, I'd say. Just kind of getting, because when you do psychology at A-level, you've never done it before at GCSE, so it's quite a jump in terms of essay writing and reading and lots of all that stuff. So I would say that she helped me quite a lot with that subject, so making me want to do it at university. That's
good. And would you recommend that to any other young people as a first degree?
Yes and no, because I loved learning about psychology, but I did a dual honours, so you only do the necessary requirements of each subject, so you don't get to delve into psychology as much as you would want to, because there's so many interesting avenues of psychology, but when you just have to do the psychology you've been doing for the last 2 years at A-level, but at just a little higher level, it's not as interesting. Great. So if you're gonna you can do criminology and psychology, I would recommend it. It's a good subject, but if you want to know more about psychology and delve into loads of other aspects of psychology like children and forensics and all of that stuff, then I'll just recommend just doing a straight single honours.
That's great. That's good advice. That's brilliant. And what are you looking to do going forward now that you finished university?
Well, I've got my master's that I'm going to be doing in social work at the University of Birmingham. So I'll be starting in September. So
well done.
Hopefully it goes all well.
Yeah.
And then I'll just kind of be grafting. I've just got some side hustles I'm thinking about, trying to develop my photography. I definitely want to travel soon. That's something that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's kind of just what I've got planned for the next few years.
That's good. That sounds exciting. All the best. We'll be continuing to pray for you, to cheer you on.
To fund me.
To fund you. To fund you. Yeah, speaking of parents funding you, let's talk a little bit about your relationship with your parents. And I've said at the beginning that Tino is talking about university experiences because he can be very open. Some of the other young people I've asked have said they're very afraid of saying things that their parents, they'll get into trouble. So Tino's been given an amnesty. So you can say pretty much anything that you want that's legal. So 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 tell us, talking about parents and children, what's the most surprising thing that you have done to shock us, to shock your parents?
Well, I've always wanted a tattoo. So when I went to Thailand, I was like, right, this is my chance now. I'm away from home. Like, I can just go to anywhere I want to get it done. And I figured I'd want to get something significant and personal to me. So then, bearing in mind, my parents hadn't talked to me for 3 weeks. So then I came home with this tattoo on my arm, like quite a big tattoo as well, not small. It's kind of like that big.
Have you shown us?
I can't really show it towards the camera, but it's big enough. And I definitely want more as well. So I came back and then I just showed my parents, and they were shocked, but they couldn't do anything about it because it was on my body already. So yeah, no, that's the most shocking thing I did to them.
Oh, that was shocking, Tino. That you really did shock us, and I think many parents who were raised in Africa find it difficult to deal with tattoos and some of and a lot of other things. But for us, it was a shock. But we couldn't do anything once it was on, could we? So that's one of the conflicts that we've had, isn't it? And there've been a few conflicts in life choices. So how have you found it being raised by Zimbabwean parents, and you being Zimbabwean born but raised in Britain?
Well, I came here when I was 9 months old, so I didn't really assimilate into Zimbabwe as much as maybe other people would who lived there for longer. But I knew a little bit of Shona, came to England, and then I was trying to assimilate in England, in a country which I don't know the language. I'm black, I'm young, I'm a child. There's difficulties with that, trying to now move from Zimbabwe to the UK. There was a story which my mom and dad told me later on about me beating up a kid because he didn't understand what I was saying. Like, I didn't beat him up as such. I just sat on him, apparently. Because he didn't understand me. But...
So in context, we were teaching you Shona at home because we wanted you to grow up learning how to speak Shona. And so we spoke to you in Shona and taught you Shona. So you knew how to speak Shona, but when you went to school, you didn't know how to speak English. So because they couldn't understand the Shona, you ended up sitting on the poor child.
He might have had it coming, to be honest with you. Should have tried to understand me.
Yeah, so that was difficult for us, trying to teach you the language issue has been an issue that has progressed on, because I think we then just decided to teach you English after that incident.
Yeah, so I don't know much Shona. I understand it. When mom and dad are trying to have conversations in the car that they don't want us to hear, they speak in Shona. But there's parts I understand and I'm able to put the story together. So that in that element, it doesn't work as always. But amongst kind of maybe my Zimbabwean peers and my cousins and stuff like that, they all know how to speak Shona. So sometimes you maybe feel a little isolated on the outs because they're all speaking Shona, kind of with the assumption that you already speak Shona because, maybe I should, but I don't. So, deal with it. So I guess you feel a little isolated sometimes. And then kind of growing up in England, you're trying to figure out where you belong, I guess.
So it's not too late to teach yourself Shona, hey? There's some apps and you can learn from us. You can learn from your grandmothers.
Yeah, Gogo does say that.
Yeah, you can learn from your grandmothers. So it's never too late. But I find it interesting that you say among your peers, your Zimbabwean peers or your cousins and friends who are Zimbabwean, you've actually felt a bit isolated because of the language issues. And there's something else that you said, that sometimes you said a phrase to me that you don't feel black enough. Can you just explain about that a little bit more?
Well, because we came to England, we lived in the majority of the areas that we lived in were predominantly white. I had a lot of white friends and a lot of Asian friends, but never a lot of black friends. I was often the token black guy, which looking back on it now probably is a little bit racist. And there's so many examples of movies and TV shows which have the the token black character, which we should have our own characters, I guess. But growing up in an environment where you're surrounded by white people, you're surrounded by white culture, you kind of then have to adapt to white culture, to whiteness. But then when you're engaging with black people, it feels lovely at first because you're like, these are my people, man. Like, and I always laugh the most with black people. That's just something that always happens. Like, but when you then start maybe talking about your interests or what you do in your spare time, then you kind of realize then, oh, this is kind of the whiteness in which I grew up in, where maybe I listen to a certain type of music, or maybe I don't dance in a certain way, or I talk differently, I guess. So I would say that these things kind of, because they're not always associated with being black, like listening to different sorts of music. Like if you just listen to rap and R&B, people say, yeah, you're black. But like if you listen to maybe like jazz, or if you listen to orchestral music, like people will judge you because they'll say, well, that's not a black thing to do. But, that also comes down to so many other systemic racism and stuff where we're allowing white people to identify what is black and what isn't black. And really, black is whatever you want it to be. If you're black, you're black. That's just what it is. If I'm African, I'm black African. Like me being black and me liking orchestral music doesn't make me any less black at all. I'm still black at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would kind of say what I feel in terms of not being black enough.
Okay, that's really interesting. And so that's you've talked about maybe sort of a discrimination and judgment and unconscious bias from black people. And what about on the other flip side? Have you experienced that from your white peers? How have you found that balance? How has that experience been for you?
Well, I would say kind of amongst this whole George Floyd thing and kind of starting to learn more about British racism, because British people are very low key about everything they do. Like everything they do is kind of, it's happening, but it's not happening. And among schools, things like casual racism was quite a thing, with something which we maybe didn't challenge enough. Whereas kind of like your white friends would be like, oh yeah, can I say the N-word, because I'm your friend and, it's just you and me. Like, and in that moment, you kind of freeze up because you're like, oh, well, not really, but also you are my friend, I guess. And what should I do? Should I accommodate for all these people, or should I cause friction by saying, no, you can't do that because that's racist? Because then you call out your friend. And bearing in mind, you're maybe 12, you may be 11, and you don't want to lose a friend because you're like, oh, this could be my friend for life, like I don't want to you don't want to ripple the waters, I guess, to a certain extent. So what I would say is, yeah, I think I did experience a lot of kind of casual racism, not outwards racism.
Yeah.
In terms of maybe people discriminating me and saying you can't play with us or you can't be around us.
Okay.
But in terms of like casual, low key sort of racism, I would say.
Okay, that's actually positive in the sense that some of it is racism, but it could also be ignorance. And I think one of the things that the death of George Floyd has brought about is a lot of conversations around these things that people thought were okay to do, but didn't realize how they affected other people. And so even with your friends, those are some of the things that you've experienced. So that's really interesting and insightful to hear. I just want us to just go on to just talking about your experience at university in terms of being a first-year student, coming from a fairly strict family background, because we were quite strict with you growing up.
Guinea pig child. First children.
First child. We're very strict with you.
Children. Everything gets tested on us.
Yes, we did test everything on you, guinea pig. So what advice would you give to young people who are going off to uni now? To the young people. And then what advice would you give to the parents?
Well, hopefully COVID won't stop you from going onto your campus and stuff like that, because one thing about when you start uni, you do feel the freedom, especially if you move to another city. You go onto campus for the first day, you kind of see everybody. It's kind of a little surreal because you're like, I'm away from the house, I'm away from the home. This is kind of a time for me to craft myself and see who I want to be. And when you're at uni, it's a great place to discover who you want to be, because you're going to go through so many trials. You're going to go through, like, you're going to gain friends, you're going to lose friends, you're going to discover about people in a new certain way. And you're going to discover about yourself as well, kind of how strong and how resilient you can be. And first year is kind of just the basis for that. You have, because you come with all the other freshers, you come with everybody else from all over the country with all different experiences, all different backgrounds, and you're meeting so many new people, so many different personalities, and you will get freshers flu. You will definitely get ill in the first week because
Freshers
everybody
flu?
gets ill. Yeah, well, it's called freshers flu because everyone's come from different places, so people are also bringing different stuff. But you also, like, if you drink, then you're also probably going out most nights in a row, and your immune system won't like that. So on the fifth day in a row when you go out, you're going to be ill on Saturday morning. Know that. But order some food and have a little hangover would be fine.
So there's a lot of drinking at university. Because when I thought of university, I've asked you to give advice to young people, Tino, and you're telling us about drinking. What advice in terms of when I went to university, right? Yeah, when I went to university.
How many years ago was that? 500?
A lot. We went to study. I thought that was the primary thing.
You study as well. Like, first year is a little less so, because first year you only have to get 40%. And I didn't try to have that mentality when I first started, because not everyone else did, but a lot of people had the mentality of
40%.
It's only 40%, so you can do nothing. Like, you can chill. Like, you don't have to go to lectures at all. But I would argue, don't have that mentality of trying to get 40%, because that won't set you up for second and third year, because those years will kick your ass. But I would say maybe do have a little bit more of a relax in your first year. Study, go to your lectures, work hard, but also make sure you have time to chill with your friends. Like, if maybe you're stressing over an essay or something, like, don't worry about taking a day or just taking a break, because at the end of the day, your first year doesn't count towards your final grade.
Okay.
But it's kind of getting your grounding, getting your footing, because then when you're in second year, and then when you're in third year, when you're in those libraries late, and you'll think about, oh man, I really wish I did that thing in first year. I really wish I maybe gone out with my friends more in first year, because in second and third year, you'll have less time to do those sort of things.
So one thing that I'm taking from that, Tino, is balance. That's the word that just comes in. A balance of fun and a balance of taking the work seriously, as the first year forms a foundation for
your second and third year.
For the second and third year.
Because you get used to everything about the structure of uni. Plus, in first year, you're still adapting to being independent by yourself. So there's a lot of other things which you're going to be trying to manage and trying to do and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's great. I think there's so many tips that you can give young people, and so much, variety of things that happen at university, the fun things, what to do, what not to do, what to be careful of, that I think we should probably follow this up with a live recording where people can ask live questions, and we can talk about those things, probably on Instagram, because that's where the young people are, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, potentially. I'll have to get my people to see what your people are doing.
Okay, yeah, then we can
arrange something.
We can arrange something. But I wanted you just to talk about something for parents, because when you went to uni, I really struggled. And one of the things, I'll just tell a story to other parents. One of the things that I struggled with was communication. Tino just would not pick up my calls. And I ended up phoning the welfare office to ask them, please, can you go and check on my son? I don't know if he's okay, but I think he probably had a hangover from the advice that he's giving young people. So what advice would you give to parents, Tino?
You should trust in your in your parenting ability that you've taught your child well enough, that when they go off to uni, that you've given them the skills and the tools throughout they've lived for 18 years with you. So you've given them enough skills and enough tools to be able to go out into university and overcome challenges that come to them, to be able to persevere through things, to say no to things that they don't want to do, but to also stand up in themselves and be their own person. So I think for parents, just trust that your child is okay. Trust that your child will be fine. But also figure out the best way to communicate with your child. Because personally, I don't really like answering phone calls. Phone calls just have no purpose unless it's going to be a long phone call. Text me. Find out how your child best communicates. Because if you text me, likelihood is I'll look at my phone, reply, and it's done. You know I'm safe, and that's it. It's like, so find the best way to communicate with your child. If they don't like phone calls, just text them. If they don't reply back to you immediately, just be patient. Like they will reply back to you.
They will.
Because as a child, you don't want your parents to be pestering you. Like, especially if you've gone off to uni for the first time, where you just like, I'm free. Come on now, I can just go and do whatever I want. I can leave the house whenever I want. I can come back at whatever time. Like, so then when your parents are phoning you constantly, you're like, like, what, I'm out with my friends right now.
So when I was phoning you thought we were troubling you?
Yeah, it was kind of trouble. Like, not in a sense, like, obviously I know you care.
Yeah.
And all you want to do is make sure I'm safe. But at the same time, my brain is like, man, this is just long. I'm going to have to be on a phone call for like 5 minutes. And it's just, what's the point when it's just going to be like, how are you? How's uni? Uni's good. Obviously, I won't tell you everything that happens at uni. So, just a text. A text is easy and simple.
So, advice to parents, text. Trust your instincts as a parent.
Trust your parenting, yeah.
And perhaps do a lot more work before they go so that they have the tools. You said about having the tools to be able to adapt to change and to just navigate life at uni.
Some people at university don't even know how to do their washing. They don't even know what buttons to press, what to put in. Like, it's pretty simple. You put your whites, your blacks with your blacks, and your darks with your darks, or black with darks. But or some people don't even know how to cook when they go to university. People are having pot noodles, or maybe they're having pasta without no sauce. And you just look at it and you're like, come on now, you can't eat that food. Look at that chicken. It's unseasoned. Unfortunately, it usually is white people that don't know how to do the stuff. Black children, we're usually quite equipped because we've had strict parenting.
Yeah.
But in general, because I am sure there are some black people that don't know how to cook out there, just teach them the skills as you go along, as they're coming up of age.
All right. So parents should teach their children how to cook, how to do the laundry. What else? Budgeting? Budgeting
is helpful, but budgeting is hard at uni because you want to go out and you want to chill with your friends, and sometimes you're like, you know what? I've got 20 quid. I could either do my food shop for the week, or let the food I already have in the fridge and see what I can make from that, or I can go out with my mates. And usually you choose the other option because you're first year and you're like, yeah, let's just go.
Okay.
But budgeting is helpful because then you'll get into a sticky situation if you don't budget properly.
So budgeting. That's excellent. That's great, Tino. And we're going to follow this up definitely with a live video where Tino can answer some questions and we can talk more about uni and some of the challenges that young people face. We can talk more about drugs. I know some young people go to uni and end up, coming home either addicted or having had psychotic breakdowns. It's something that we wanted to talk about, but we'll talk about that in more detail and more length on a live video. So thanks, Tino, for sharing that, your insight, and thanks for talking to me. I know I've always tried to get you to come and share and you didn't want to. So today, thank you.
It's all right.
And congratulations again. Well done.
When we do the Instagram, you'll get raw answers as well. So ask anything you want.
On Instagram.
I will give you the honest answer and the honest truth.
Okay, so we'll go on to Instagram together. And you can tell, that's for young people only.
Yeah. Adults, if you want to peer in and see what we're talking about, you can, but you got to be quiet because otherwise it's not a space where we can all talk freely.
Oh, that's what I have to put up with all the time. Yeah. Anyway, thanks very much, Tino. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Join us live where we're going to have a follow-on conversation about university, about some of the challenges that young people have. Send us your questions so that we can answer them and we can talk about it. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Tino, for coming. Please, can you subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, like our Facebook page, follow it, and share this video. Thank you. Be blessed. Bye.